We begin tonight at the Federal High Court, Abuja, where Justice Peter Lifu has recognized the Nenadi-led executive of the Labour Party, sacking Mr. Julius Abure as the national chairman of the party. Delivering judgments, Justice Lifu relied on the April 4, 2025 verdict of the Supreme Court to declare Senator Usman as the valid leader of the party. The court also ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to forthwith recognize the Senator Nenadi Usman-led caretaker committee as the only valid authority to represent the Labour Party pending the party's national convention. Justice Lifu also held that evidence before him established that the Abure tenure as the national chairman of the LP had elapsed, while dismissing Abure's contention that the matter was an internal affair of a political party that is non-justiciable. The court also held that setting up the LP caretaker committee was a necessity that arose from the order of the Supreme Court.
For the avoidance of doubt, the court also ordered that INEC should, as a matter of fact, recognize every correspondence from Dr. Nenadi Usman as the valid and the only recognized chairman of Labour Party. The court went further to warn against all this shenanigan and superfluous grandstanding by people who want to run the party at their whims and caprices of running around and on forum shopping, going to court in Jos, going to court in Nasarawa, going to court here and there.
I believe that this is not just, it's not victory for Nenadi Usman, no. It's victory for Labour Party, it's victory for all Nigerians who believe in the Labour Party. I would want to seize this opportunity to call on all my brothers and sisters and say there is no victor, no vanquished. Let's come back, work together and build a stronger Labour Party.
Meanwhile, the Julius Abure-led Labour Party has reacted to that judgment, insisting that it will immediately appeal the ruling, which it says contradicts its own constitution. The Labour Party says the Supreme Court clearly stated that courts cannot appoint political party leaders, insisting that party leadership matters are strictly internal affairs of political parties. In a statement, the Labour Party National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, described the ruling as a clear contradiction of Supreme Court guidance. He says the party remains confident that the Federal High Court is not the final authority and expressed optimism that justice will be served once the full judgment is reviewed. According to the spokesperson, the position will be firmly reinforced after seeing the certified true copy of the ruling. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has granted bail to the Bauchi State Commissioner for Finance, Yakubu Adamu, and his co-defendants in the alleged $9.7 million terrorism financing case. Delivering his ruling, Justice Mohammed Umar said that the defendants provided sufficient grounds for the court to exercise its discretion judicially and judiciously in their favor. Each defendant was admitted to bail in the sum of 100 million naira, with 2 sureties each, and the sureties must be a permanent secretary and the director in the civil service. The court also ordered the defendants to deposit their international passports with the court registry. Justice Umar further directed Mr. Damu and the 3 other defendants to report to the DSS office in Bauchi State every Monday until the determination of the case. The matter was then adjourned to February the 26th for commencement of trial, while the case file has now been returned to the Chief Judge for reassignment after the court's vacation. And staying with judicial matters, one of the suspects being prosecuted by the Department of State Services alongside Khalid al-Barnawi and 3 others for being behind the August 2011 bombing of the United Nations building in Abuja has told Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja how he joined the terror organization. At the resumed trial, the second defendant, that's Mohammed Saleh, in a video recording played before the court, said that he joined al-Banawi in Bauchi State shortly before the attack on the UN building. The court also saw another video recording of the interview session involving Saleh and commenced cross-examination of the third prosecution witness in the ongoing trial within trial. Under cross-examination by counsel to al-Banawi, The witness, who says he works in the technical department of the DSS and sets up audio and video recording machine in the interview room, said that he did more than just setting up the forensic audio and video recording machine in relation to the first defendant. According to him, the interview session recording of the first defendant was done in real time. Justice Emeka Nwite then adjourned the continuation of trial to March the 2nd, 2026.
Our witness, PW3, was closed his case today. And after the closure of his case, he was duly cross-examined to some extent by the first defendant counsel. So what transpired today was cross-examination of our witness by the first defendant counsel. And the cross-examination is continuing on the 2nd of March 2026, as that is the date the matter has been adjourned to. The video is a translation of the statement of the second defendant in the case from English language to Hausa language. You know, the original statement was made in Hausa language. So the DSS witness or staff translated the language, the translator translated the language from Hausa language to English language, and then turn around to translate it from English language to Hausa language to reflect the correct version of the statement that was earlier given in Hausa language. That was what the video was showing.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed January the 26th this year to rule on the final forfeiture of a London property linked to the former Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the late Jeremiah Hussaini. The decision followed the failure of any individual or representative of Hussaini's estate to appear within the 14-day statutory window to show cause, while the property should not be forfeited to the federal government. The proceedings arose from an ex parte application filed in late 2025 by the Code of Conduct Bureau, which sought an interim forfeiture and preservation order over the disputed property, alleging it was acquired with proceeds of unlawful activity. Justice Binta Nyako granted the interim forfeiture order. The judge also directed the CCB to advertise the order in a national newspaper within 14 days to invite any person or anybody with interest in the property to come forward and prove legitimate acquisition. The property, located at 79 Randall Avenue in London, has Senior Advocate of Nigeria Michael Zekome and Jerry Hussaini named in the property dispute. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi, as well as the Chief Justice of the country, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, have described court registrars as the backbone of any judicial process, critical to expeditious dispensation of justice. The senior judicial officers made the statement at the strategic retreat of the Committee of Chief Registrars of Nigeria in Abuja. They restated the assurance that the judiciary remains the last hope of the common man and canvassed for improved well-being for judicial officers. Our correspondent Dele Omoyeni reports.
It's the 2026 strategic retreat of the Committee of Chief Registrars of Nigeria with the theme Strengthening Court Administration, Financial Accountability and Staff Well-being for a More Effective Judiciary in Nigeria. The Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, and the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, are the special guests of honor, and the focus of their speech is their commitment to judicial reforms.
Our primary objective for 2026 and beyond must be the seamless integration of technology into our judicial processes. I urge each of you to embrace continuous learning, engage actively with new technologies, and create cultures of excellence within your registries.
Chief registrars serve as the administrative anchors of the court. You are the custodians of records and the critical interface between the bench, court users, and the public. Your role lies at the intersection of law, administration, and policy, requiring discretion, competence, innovation, and unwavering fidelity to the values of justice.
Former Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, is the keynote speaker. He used the occasion to canvass for more periodic training for judicial officers.
But we must conclude every retreat with a few decisions. No overload. 4 issues, 5 issues, 3 issues. We are taking them back home. This is what we agreed to do. These are the people who are going to do them because we are going to monitor. So when we get back to the next retreat, our starting point is what we agreed the last time, what have we done about them, how much progress have we made.
A critical submission of key judicial officers at this retreat is that the registry is the heartbeat of the Nigerian judiciary. Therefore, issues of accountability, integrity, and the welfare of these officers are key to upholding the rule of law. Also important to note is the commitment of the Nigerian judiciary to moving from a manual system to a digitized system for efficiency. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Professor Nentawai Yilwata, says that there is no place for technocrats in government's appointments without active political participation. He made this remark at the Abuja Northwest Meet and Greet event organized by the Minister of State for Works, Mr. Bello Goronyo, where party leaders and appointees reviewed government's performance and called for stronger ownership and defense of President Bola Tinubu's reforms. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
This event brought together top figures of the All Progressives Congress APC, including the party's national chairman, the Minister of Defense, several serving ministers, senior government officials, and APC party members to review governance outcomes and reinforce the role of political appointees in explaining and defending government policies. The APC national chairman, Professor Nentawai Yilwata, stressed that political appointees are a product of votes and party loyalty, not technical expertise alone. He said those who accept government appointments must also defend policies and explain government actions to the people.
All other appointees of government to always look back, refresh their minds, look from where we're coming from, what brought us here. It is the votes. There's no word called technocrats. They are all political appointees. There's no single word called technocrats. Once you are given a political appointment, you are a politician.
We recognize that our political appointees in the Northwest have been given very strong substantive positions. So all of us must rise up to the occasion and demonstrate the commitment and the trust that the President has given to all of us, which is why I spoke to my brother to ensure that he invites political appointees from the Northwest. Everybody needs to come and show their hand.
The meeting also reviewed major infrastructures delivered under the Tinubu administration, with emphasis on road projects across the country and their impact on national unity and economic growth.
The long-awaited Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, that was there for almost 12 years. Today, if you move there, you will see we are working in almost 6 sections. We have found a president that is committed for the unity of this nation, that is committed for the progress of this nation, that is committed to making sure that things get better, and they have started getting better. So we must make sure that we put our heads together and march for the progress of this nation. And the progress of this nation is the progress of APC under Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
The party leaders described the Northwest as critical to the APC's electoral strength and urged appointees to remain visible, engaged, and accountable. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Thank you.
In part 2, after the break, electricity workers declare indefinite strike at Kano Electricity Distribution Company over unsettled staff entitlements. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Federal High Court directs INEC to recognize the Nadi Usman-led executive of the Labour Party as Julius Abure Group vows to challenge the ruling. Court grants Bauchi State Commissioner of Finance Yakubu Adamu and his co-defendants 100 million naira bail each over terrorism financing charges. The Chief Justice of Nigeria and Attorney General of the Federation urge court registrars to embrace digital transformation in the judiciary. And U.S. President Donald Trump rules out using force to take Greenland, but calls for immediate negotiations to acquire the island. Two major unions in the power sector, the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies and the National Union of Electricity Employees, have declared an indefinite strike at the Kano Electricity Distribution Company NEDCO over unsettled workers' entitlements. The action came after the expiration of a midnight ultimatum given to the management to clear accumulated arrears owed to staff. Our correspondent Sadiq Ilyasu reports.
Tension mounted at the Kano Electricity Distribution Company, KEDCO, as labor unions in the power sector picketed its head office in Kano. Following the expiration of the midnight deadline, the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies and the National Union of Electricity Employees announced a total withdrawal of services across the company. The unions say talks with management broke down over 3 different categories of unpaid arrears, which they claim have remained unsettled despite repeated agreements.
We're here today to ensure that our staff benefit from what it is due for them. KEDCO staff are hard-working staff, and everybody can testify through the revenue they are generating. So they deserve some level of respect by giving them what is meant for them. Remittance of pension, we talk about conducive working environment, we talk about the 13 months, we talk about so many things. So all we are asking is let them comply to the previous agreement, because we had the agreement. We are not asking for a new agreement, we are only asking for compliance.
The labor leaders maintain that management's inability to pay workers their due entitlements by Tuesday, January 20th, forced them to embark on a total withdrawal of services.
We have only staff welfare problem, and this management, we call their attention for them to at least listen to our demand, but they refuse to listen to our demand. We exercise our patience. We call their attention for them to at least let them settle some benefit of the staff welfare, but to no avail. So we say we don't have anything to do rather than to go and lock this, because this is the only language they are hearing.
Responding to the development, the management of KEDCO appealed for calm, saying efforts are ongoing to resolve the issues and restore electricity supply to consumers.
For the past 5 years, when we came on board, KEDCO staff did not have anything like a promotion exercise, which was part of the issue. And as of December last year, we did a holistic process in ensuring that for 5 years our staff were not promoted, and we pushed to ensure that it was done. We have a total staff strength of about 2,900 staff. Out of those 2,900 staff, 1,500 people were promoted.
The strike action is expected to disrupt power supply across Kano and other areas served by KEDCO if the stalemate persists. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
Let's shift gears now. Let's head to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Gloria Omezoke is standing by to bring us more stories. Over to you, Gloria.
Many thanks, Anne. We begin in Kaduna State, where Governor Uba Sani visited Kurmin Wali community in Kujuru local government area of the state following the recent abduction by bandits in the area, assuring the people of speedy and safe return of the victims and vowing that the abduction will not deter him from sustaining the prevailing peace and security that his administration has achieved. The governor's visit comes amid rising concern over insecurity in the northern region as affected residents recount harrowing experiences during the attack. A somber atmosphere at Kurminwali community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State as residents struggle to come to terms with the trauma left behind by last Sunday's abduction. Gunmen believed to be bandits stormed the community in the morning, whisking away over 100 residents during a church service.
We are in the church around 9 o'clock. Fulani people come around the church. After around the church, they enter the church. They ask us to lie down. They scatter the church, collect our handset, collect our money. After that, they send out from the church. Already they send out, go towards that church. Before you go there, they have removed the people of the other church. They are lying down.
There were initial conflicting reports between the security agencies and the locals over the incident. Governor Sani visits the community following the confirmation of the incident. He is in the community to assess the situation firsthand and to commiserate with affected families. The governor meets with religious and community leaders, assuring them of the government's commitment to ensure the immediate rescue of those in captivity.
The DSS, the police, and the Office of National Security Advisor to ensure the quick return and recovery of our people who were abducted in this very important community.
The governor also makes a case for a military formation in the area as he promises to provide social infrastructure for the area, including a hospital and access roads.
I made it clear to the Minister of Defense that it is important, and I urge him as a Minister of the Defense and someone from Kaduna State who know the terrain very well, to ensure that we have military command here, base, because that's the only way we can be able to protect the people of Kurminwali.
For the people, the visit gives them hope and confidence.
You have given directive to your Commissioner of Works. We cannot say we are placing request, but to continue to thank you.
The Kaduna State government plans to increase security presence and surveillance in the area and neighboring communities as residents await the safe return of their loved ones. The new General Officer commanding 4-8 Division of the Nigerian Army in Sokoto State, Major General Bemba Kugna, is promising to sustain the anti-banditry operation in Nigeria's northwest region. He made the vow during the formal handover ceremony at the Jijinya Cantonment, Sokoto, the state capital. Major General Kugna takes over from Major General Ibikunle Ajose, whose tenure was marked by sustained counter-banditry operations in the region. The GOC, who doubles as the Commander Sector 2 of the Operation Fatinyama, assured that the division would intensify efforts to tackle banditry, terrorism and other security threats in the region, while strengthening cooperation with sister security agencies and host communities. And the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has been scored 77.88% in the 2025 Ethics and Integrity Compliance Scorecard, ranking 17 among 357 ministries, departments and agencies assessed by the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. Speaking at the Nigeria Reputation Summit in Abuja, the executive director of the agency, Dr. Muyi Aino, said government officers must emulate high standards to boost Nigeria's reputation. Dr. Aino highlighted the Health Ministry's focus on governance reform led by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Patek, stating that it aims at improving integrity and transparency. He says initiatives are underway to tighten controls and raise ethical standards.
one of the critical pillars of the strategy that the Minister Party is leading is around the governance of the system, where all of our institutions were trying to improve integrity, improve transparency, and many things that we're doing. I won't have the time to go into them, but just yesterday I got a letter in the Happy Antimoji from the watchdog, anti-corruption watchdog, ICPC, to my agency, for example, where they do annual evaluations of institutions, public institutions. When I first came about a year ago, we had ranked 233rd out of 323 institutions that were assessed. I was very embarrassed, and I charged my team. I said, let's go on the training. And the letter that I got, the assessment that the girls did, we ranked 17th, which is a mark of the improved transparency and all. And we're going to first.
Return attention to the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, which says it has begun enforcing the ban on the production and sale of alcoholic beverages packaged in sachets and in bottles below 200 milliliters following the expiration of a 5-year moratorium granted to manufacturers. The enforcement move comes in spite of reports suggesting a directive from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to suspend action pending further reviews and stakeholder consultations on the economic implication. NAFDAC's Director General Professor Mojisola Adeyeye clarified the agency's position at a media parley in Lagos, where she highlighted the impact of the modernization of NAFDAC's regulatory systems since 2018. She said the modernization drive has strengthened local pharmaceutical production, improved food and drug safety, and boosted enforcement against substandard products, adding that NAFDAC is now transitioning to artificial intelligence-driven regulation.
Alcohol in sachet. Vodka is 95% in sachet. Beer is about 5 to 8% alcohol. 50 to 95% concentration, concentrated alcohol in sachets. We said, this is too high. Our stakeholders didn't like that. They went to the ministry. They said they went to the National Assembly that they would lose jobs, or the staff would lose jobs, or whatever. And they told us to suspend. That is just suspension for a while. Then the Senate met and they gave NAFDAC a marching order. You must enforce. So what you think is coming from SGF may not be the true picture. So we have started the enforcement. Thank you very much.
We're still ahead on the news at 10. Digital payment fraud in Nigeria drops 51% to 25.85 billion naira in 2025, according to the latest report by the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System. That's some business news. Let's join us again.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. The family of former military president General Ibrahim Babangida is honoring the legacy of Nigeria's former First Lady, Mrs. Maryam Babangida, who died on December the 27th, 2009. Aside from a special prayer session, the family distributed empowerment tools and relief materials to vulnerable persons in Minna, the Niger state capital.
The Jumat Mosque in the Boso area of Minna, the Niger state capital, is hosting family, friends and well-wishers at a special prayer session to honor the memory of Nigeria's former First Lady, Mrs. Maryam Babangida. Leading the prayers, the chief imam prayed for the repose of her soul and comfort to the Babangida family. He described the late Mariam Babangida as a compassionate and selfless woman whose contributions to humanity and women empowerment would remain enduring legacies.
She deserves this kind of prayer because of her gesture, the lifestyle she lived when she was alive. She was so committed woman to humanitarian activities. She built mosques, hospitals, and she gave sadaqah, charity, both at home to the less privileged, town and villages.
Activities to mark the 16th Remembrance Anniversary then shifts to the family-owned private university where the Halima Ibrahim Babangida Foundation is distributing empowerment tools and relief materials to vulnerable persons in the state. The foundation is an initiative of her daughter to sustain the humanitarian values of the former First Lady.
We did a need assessment, case-by-case study, where we went to different communities, collaborated with leaders, and, as a matter of fact, do what we call triangulation. We try our best possible to ensure that not just anybody can come, but people who are in need.
Over 800 vulnerable persons drawn from different communities across the state benefited from the initiative.
We're happy to see that our children have continued on this legacy of their mother. The number of people that they are going to be empowering with the items that they are going to be empowering them with, they are touching the lives of the indigent and the lives of the poor. Government cannot do it alone, so you have to collaborate.
It's manifest with impactful testimonial that we have witnessed today, how they have been able to support people in healthcare services, scholarship for students, fasting support for Ramadan, and other welfare issues.
Appreciative of the gesture, the beneficiaries pray for more strength for the Babangida family to sustain the legacy of the former First Lady, which they describe as service to humanity.
We head to Katsina State now, where the Governor KEDCO Rada has flagged off an empowerment scheme for 14,450 women engaged in small-scale businesses and traditional economic activities across the 34 local government areas of the state. The Governor flagged off the exercise at the Katsina People's Square in the state capital. He explains that the scheme aims to restore the dignity of women, build their confidence, and unlock their hidden potential.
These women are engaged in small-scale businesses and traditional economic activities in Katsina State. They are the latest beneficiaries of the state government's mega empowerment scheme, which the governor is flagging off at the Katsina People's Square. The women were selected from the 34 local government areas of the state. The ceremony is attended by the wife of the governor, Mrs. Zuleyhat Rada, alongside APC women leaders from the 34 local government areas of Katsina State. In her welcome address, the State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Aisha Aminu Malumfashi, believes that the initiative reflects the commitment of the state government towards inclusive governance and sustainable development.
At the Ministry of Women Affairs, we firmly believe that the empowerment goes beyond financial support. It is a restoration of your dignity, building your confidence and unlocking your hidden potential.
Governor KEDCO Rada believes that when women control income, about 90% is invested in their family's well-being.
Each of you has been selected based on verified engagement in legitimate small-scale enterprise or traditional livelihoods. This is not a handout. It is a seed capital entrusted to those who have already proven their willingness to work. Let me be clear. This intervention is strategic studies shown that when women control income, up to 90% is reinvested in the family nutrition.
The governor is urging the beneficiaries to make effective and responsible use of the empowerment to grow their businesses, support their families, and serve as ambassadors of positive change in the society.
And in Kebbi State, the federal government and the state government believe that Argungu International Fishing Festival will restore socio-economic activities, it will create jobs and open the area to human and infrastructural development. The Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Mr. Tanko Sununu, and the Deputy Governor of Kebbi State, Mr. Omar Tafida, stated this at a sensitization program organized by the state government ahead of this year's festival. Inscribed on the UNESCO representative list on intangible cultural heritage of humanity, the festival is staging a comeback after it was suspended in 2020.
Officials of the Kebbi State government, led by the Deputy Governor of Kebbi State, Mr. Umaru Tafida, are joined by the Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Mr. Tanko Sununu, and traditional rulers at this sensitization program to mark the 61st edition of the Argungu Fishing Festival. Pioneered in 1932 as a community festival, the event has metamorphosed into an annual international fishing festival, gaining international recognition. It was registered by UNESCO in 2016 as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, which underscores its global cultural significance. After suspending the festival in the year 2020 due to insecurity, the state government plans to hold the 61st edition this year in the ancient city. The government is actively using the festival to attract foreign investment and showcase the natural resources of the state.
The Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival is far more than a ritual event. It's a powerful symbol of Nigeria's rich cultural festival and unity, which proudly showcases some of the major events such as agricultural and industrial trade fair, motor racing competition.
Go to Argungu Fish Town now and the emirate itself. Go and see how housewomen are working, cleaning their environment, just start preparing meals that can be used by people that will come to that place.
The Emir of Argungu, who is the custodian of the festival, is delighted that the event is making a comeback, highlighting the impact on the residents of the area.
Invitation for fishermen has already gone out. We're inviting fishermen from the entire states of northern Nigeria, and specifically we are also inviting fishermen that were invited in 1970.
The government believes that the return of the festival is indicative of improved security in the state, which they hope signifies the restoration of business activities in the area.
We turn our attention to the world of business now. Let's join Dominic Iwu.
Thank you, Anne. And on business news, Nigeria's digital payments ecosystem recorded a major boost in confidence in 2025 as the level of fraud in the sector declined significantly. This was disclosed by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, Premier Oiwo, at the 2026 National Electronic Fraud Forum organized by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Mr. Oiwo attributes the improvements to stronger monitoring systems, better collaboration among financial institutions, and continued investments in payment security infrastructure.
The fraud trend actually dropped in 2025 when compared to 2024. So about 25.26 billion from the reported fraud and the actual amount lost. So I expect that in 2026 to continue to go down as we create more awareness within the ecosystem. We work with the central bank and all the other industry players, and also work with the various security agencies who are committed to ensuring that fraud is brought down to zero, the rest minimum. And I think with all the measures being taken across monitoring, enforcement, awareness, I expect it to continue to go down.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has commenced the phased implementation of enforcement measures in respect of digital money lending operators that did not regularize their status. The deadline for the directive, which is in accordance with the Digital, Electronic, Online and Non-Traditional Consumer Lending Regulations 2025, was due on January the 5th of this year. As part of the approved enforcement framework, the FCCPC says it has withdrawn the conditionally approved status previously granted to certain DML operators that did not complete the required regularization process within the transitional period. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise has raised serious concerns over renewed calls for the imposition of additional taxes on sugar-sweetened non-alcoholic beverages in Nigeria. In a statement released today by its Chief Executive Officer, Muda Yusuf, the economic and policy think tank warns that while delivering limited public health benefits, sugar tax could cause significant economic risks for the country. CPPE notes that advocacy for sugar taxation in Nigeria is largely influenced by externally derived policy frameworks, particularly from global health institutions, without sufficient adaptation to local conditions. Now, on day 3 of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Nigeria is pitching itself as a long-term digital and trade hub for West Africa, as policymakers and investors weigh where permanent capital will inflow next. At Nigeria House, WTO Director General Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Bank of Industry CEO Dr. Olasupo Olusi took part in a fireside discussion on financing digital trade and infrastructure and how Nigeria can convert market scale into bankable investable assets. The focus was on attracting long-term global capital and positioning Nigeria as a durable regional anchor for trade and technology. And now, as 2026 unfolds, projections for Africa's economic growth, including Nigeria, remain in focus. Speaking on Business Morning, AFDB Chief Economist Kevin Orama says Nigeria is on a positive trajectory, stressing that sustaining ongoing reforms will be crucial to maintaining this growth this year.
If you look at the Nigerian economy, as I've mentioned, the estimated growth for 2025 is 3.89%. This is a marginal increase from what we had in 2024. And normally what we look at in these estimates and reports is the direction of travel. Because when you are talking about percentage growth increases, large economies, the percentage growth increases might look smaller, but in real terms, they are actually growing the economies much better. If you look at a percentage is just a ratio of what you had before. So that's the issue with Nigeria. So Nigeria is really on a very positive trajectory with all the reforms that are going on in the country.
More than 6.8 billion naira was gained at the close of today's trading on the Nigerian exchange as they maintained a mildly bullish sentiment for a second day. Willie Bong tells us more.
Stock market report. It was a close shave for the bulls today as the NGX narrowly escaped closing in negative territory. The all-share index rose by 1 basis point today to close at 166,267 points. Not a huge number, but that's still moving the needle on the index performance for today. Now we see price action across some big names like PZ, Cousins, First Holco, and Lafarge. That helped to boost the performance in the market today. Now let's zoom in on the stocks that gained the most today. Alti Briscoe is leading that chart, followed by tech company NCR and agro processing company McNichols, which still within the 10% band. And we also see profit taking on Lotus Bank. Maybe investors are still reacting to the recent change in the company's leadership. Now, today, U.S. President Donald Trump said in his speech at Davos that when the United States goes up, you follow. Let's hope that applies also to the NGX. And that's the stock market report. Will Ibang signing out.
Thank you, Will. And for the global equities market, it's a mixed close for Wednesday as most major bourses recovered from their recent sell-off. Here are some of the closing numbers for Wednesday. And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. And outside our shores, U.S. President Donald Trump says that he is seeking immediate negotiations to acquire Greenland. In an hour-long speech, he told world leaders at Davos that he would not use force to take the island, which on several occasions he confused with Iceland. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
So let me introduce and welcome back to Davos the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
The US President Donald Trump says he is seeking immediate negotiations to acquire Greenland. In an hour-long speech, he told world leaders at Davos that he wouldn't use force to take the island, which on several occasions he confused with Iceland. Mr. Trump previously said he would add a 10% tariff to goods from 8 European countries that opposed his plan to take over the Danish territory.
We never asked for anything. And we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland.
A train driver has been killed and at least 37 people injured, 5 seriously, after a commuter train derailed and crashed near Barcelona 2 days after a deadly 2-train collision in southern Spain. According to local officials, the train collided with a retaining wall which fell onto the track between Galida and Sant Sadurní. The incident occurred as heavy storms battered northeastern Spain, with coastal areas in the east and northwest of Spain on high alert because of the weather. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accepted an invitation to join US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace. A statement from his office said Netanyahu would become a member of the board, which is to be comprised of world leaders. The board was originally thought to be aimed at helping end the 2-year war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza and oversee reconstruction, but its proposed charter does not mention the Palestinian territory and appears to be designed to supplant functions of the United Nations. Incredibly, Vladimir Putin has also been invited to join. Aviation safety campaigners in the United States say they have evidence that a plane that crashed in India last year had previously suffered a series of technical failures, including a fire. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner crashed on the 12th of June, shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad en route to London, killing 260 people. The Foundation for Aviation Safety, a U.S. campaign group, has sent a report to the U.S. Senate outlining its findings, which it says are based on documents that have come into its possession. The official investigation into the accident is ongoing. The man who killed Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been sentenced to life in prison 3.5 years after he shot him dead at a rally in the city of Nara in 2022. Tetsuya Yamagami had pleaded guilty to murder charges at the trial's opening last year, but how he should be punished has divided public opinion. While many see the 45-year-old as a cold-blooded murderer, some sympathize with his troubled upbringing. Togo has arrested and extradited Burkina Faso's former leader to his home country after authorities in Ouagadougou accused him of plotting to kill his successor. Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who came to power in a coup in 2022 before himself being overthrown by Ibrahim Traoré 8 months later, is accused by the current regime of masterminding an assassination attempt against Traoré. The health of detained veteran Ugandan opposition figure Kizza Besigye has reached a critical and deteriorating state, according to his party. The 69-year-old politician was driven to a private medical facility under heavy security, the People's Front for Freedom Party said, without specifying what he is suffering from. However, prison authorities described his overnight visit to a doctor as a general checkup. Besigye, a former personal doctor to President Yoweri Museveni, has been in detention since November 2024. And Prince Harry has taken to the stand in his High Court battle with the publishers of the Daily Mail newspaper. The Duke of Sussex's case mainly rests on 14 articles published between 2001 and 2013, which he says used unlawfully gathered information. Court documents submitted by his lawyer allege the articles were based on repeated, sustained and covert acquisition of private information that made Prince Harry paranoid. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. The CAF Technical Study Group has unveiled the team of the tournament for the Cup of Nations, with Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen leading the attack. Super Eagles winger Demola Lookman and Calvin Bassey also made the best 11. Champions Senegal are represented by Moussa Niakate, Pape Gueye and Idrissa Gueye, and Sadio Mane, who was named player of the tournament. And finalists Morocco is led by goalkeeper Yassine Bono. He's joined by Ashraf Hakimi and Nusra Mazraoui and Brahim Diaz. In the meantime, Nigeria football enthusiasts are asking the country's authorities to ensure early preparations of the Super Eagles of Nigeria ahead of the next Cup of Nations. This comes after the team ended the 2025 AFCON in Morocco as the third best playing team on the continent.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria finished the 35th Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco as the third best team on the continent for a record 9th time. That performance saw Nigeria rise to 26th position in the latest FIFA World Ranking released by the World Football's governing body. However, the team's campaign in a North African country was marred by threats of boycott of unpaid bonuses stemming from disagreements with the nation's football authorities. Despite falling short of winning the title, the Super Eagles showing at the tournament drew widespread praise from Nigerian football enthusiasts who applauded the team's resilience and overall performance.
Most Nigerians don't even think they are going to get to the stages that they get to, and they play good football. And first and foremost, we need just to commend their effort, because if you put heart in one thing that you want to do this, and with the grace of Almighty God, it's going to yield the fruit for you.
7 is looking ahead to the next AFCON, scheduled to be jointly hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania in 2027. Many football followers believe the Super Eagles are capable of surpassing their bronze medal finish in Morocco.
If their allowance remuneration is paid as when due, I don't know, Nigeria will perform better. Not until when they ask for it, when they call for it, or when they strike, or they want to do something that, you know, we mar the program. Yeah, if they can make the allowance available at the right time, definitely, you know, Nigeria, we have the power, we have what it takes.
Let's prepare better and let's keep this team. I will like to see Shell, the coach, to be in charge. Give him the chance, give him the room, give him the liberty to express himself. He's proven himself. I think for a long time we have not had this kind of success with any trader, even the ones that came from Europe.
Addressing these challenges will be vital if Nigeria is to realize its ambition of winning the African Cup of Nations for a 4th time.
And that's your sports news tonight. I am Kelly. Gigas, back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. A federal high court has directed INEC to recognize the Nadi Usman-led executive of the Labour Party as the Julius Abure group vows to challenge the ruling. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Onwawado. Have a wonderful night rest.